Hey, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Appreciate it. I know there's always a transition period, but do not miss your opportunity to hear from media cartographer. I love that title for Evan Shapiro.
Thank you.
But Evan Shapiro has the background, the experience to know whereof he speaks about a changing media landscape. So, but I do like media cartographer.
Oh, I love it too. I didn't pick it. Someone gave it. If we throw up the map that we are going to talk about, you can see why they call me the media cartographer.
Why don't we put up the slide? We'll talk about it in depth a little bit later, but let's put it up so folks can...
Yeah, so this is why I'm called the media cartographer. Is the map that Shira Lazar from What's Trending and I collabed on. We launched it this past fall, and it's, I think, the most... the Hollywood Reporter, sorry to mention somebody else, called it, well, same family, called it the most comprehensive map of the creator economy so far. And what you have on there is everything that the previous panel was just talking about, which is the transition of today's media ecosystem to tomorrow's media ecosystem. This will increasingly be the media ecosystem. Todd said, you know, for a lot of people, YouTube is TV. Tweet that out.
And very interesting to think Instagram and Reels are going that way.
This year.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Very interesting. All right. So I wanted to start with just a little bit of, you know, not crystal ball gazing, a little bit of rear view mirror gazing to kind of how we got here.
Got it.
And of course, as we aforementioned, Evan and I have known each other a long time. And Evan was definitely, you were there in the sweet spot. Your timing was great. You were there in the sweet spot of cable, when cable was cool and making money and driving the multi-channel revolution that we thought was incredible with 200 channels. Boy, did we not know, you know, we were preparing for a world that we didn't quite see, but you were very good at seeing it. But let me ask you, I just want to take you back. You were at AMC Network when it was really popping, IFC when that really became an example of how you could do a strong niche comedy and really own that, and IFC is still punching above its weight even all those years, so all that labor was not for naught. But so imagine yourself, put yourself back, 2003, and you have a budget, you have a real budget, you have a budget for content, you have a budget for marketing, and you could build the IFC of 2026. What would you do? Where would you start?
So remember, this was an independent film channel that then launched Portlandia, turned itself into a comedy channel.
Right, yeah.
And so I executive produced that show. It was a pretty big gamble, but not that expensive. That entire first season cost $2 million.
Carrie Brownstein and Fred Armisen forever.
Geniuses, John Kreisel as well. And so that show was very inexpensive. I would start there again. We are now in a time, the previous panel talked about this, about changing the production landscape and the development landscape, going direct to consumer, but also reducing, everybody's, I think, talking about the current vertical movement, comparing it to Quibi. The difference is Quibi was spending $100,000 per minute and bullshit like that on their stuff. Today's most successful people, Mr. Beast, Starman, learned how to do it very inexpensively. They learned how to test and learn, and they learned how to put stuff out there and see what happened in the market. We launched 2 very expensive shows on the same night, Portlandia and the Onion News Network. Who remembers the Onion News Network? Right? Oh, thank you. Actually, more for their short video than for the show we did. The show we did was really, really great, but Portlandia, this little engine that could, for $2 million for 6 episodes. Think about that. And look how long it lasted. So I would start at how can we make the most amount of content at the least amount of cost, and then I would go try to find an audience. We launched that. It was very controversial back then. We launched that show on YouTube. You can still see the first perfect episode of Portlandia
wow.
on YouTube today.
Extremely savvy.
And this was 2008. So I would start there, and then I would build the exact same network. Independent film targeted at men 18 to 34, because that's a really rich audience to go after, very hard to reach. You can only reach them in
outside of sports. Yeah.
That's exactly right. But we did it in real droves. And I would launch, if you go back to that map, I would launch an IP-focused, what the entire panel was talking about the entire time, franchise-focused, IP-focused, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Go back and read the comic books, right? And then look at what happened. Harry Potter, look at what happened. It isn't just a show. It isn't just a podcast. It isn't just take whatever channel it is and keep doing it. Put it on every shelf space possible, asymmetrically, on demand, ready for the consumer to find it in the search mindset that is today.
If you again take yourself back to 2008, obviously you would have been fired. If you, I mean, the YouTube. It's amazing that you got them to agree.
It was
to
very
YouTube.
controversial.
I have
There
no
were
doubt.
a lot of lawyers
a lot of
involved,
discussions. Yeah, but like
remember, that's Lorne Michaels.
Yeah,
Right, but Lorne
exactly.
had been convinced.
Lorne Michaels' company produced the show, Broadway Video.
Right, but
correct?
they were the producers of it, and everything had to run through Lorne at some point, right? He and I disagreed a couple of times. I lost every single fucking
Did you
time.
show Lorne Michaels' YouTube? Did you introduce him to YouTube?
No. That's the thing.
Of course, he was aware because
just
of the
before
shorts,
that,
yeah.
Lazy Sunday had blown. Anybody remember that?
That's
Lazy
right.
Sunday?
Yes. Yeah.
Chris Parnell and Andy Samberg. That had blown up, and he was convinced by that.
Yeah.
That
And I
YouTube
think
worked.
that blowing up was the thing that got Google's attention.
Yeah.
To buy it.
That's exactly
So, yeah.
right.
It's all connected, but again, that idea of not having that content mostly exclusive to IFC would anathema to the cable model.
Well, no, it is exclusive to IFC. It's just that IFC lives asymmetrically across this new universe that is taking shape right now. It is driven by and again, this was touched on by the previous panel. It isn't about reach anymore. I mean, Hannah's a monster, but she's been doing it since Vine, right? Mr. Beast is a monster, but he's been doing it since the early days of YouTube. Those are going to be harder to create, and they're no longer necessary. That kind of scale is no longer necessary. The micro influencers are very often the ones that get more and more repeated deals because the engagement is there. Again, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the map for a second.
Sure.
Mr. Beast's power.
Oh, sorry. We'll put it back up, please, if we could, because we'll talk about the map.
Mr. Beast's power isn't the size of his audience, it's his engagement quality. So you'll see the vanity metrics that I think Aileen from Betches talked about on this map of followers and monthly average users and bullshit stuff that can be bought, really, like that. And then you'll see EQ, which is engagement quality. The high engagement quality, the green marks on this map, are really much more powerful regardless of the size of the audience because the efficiency is there. And when you're selling products, not just podcasts or short form videos or whatever it is, when you're a studio like Betches is, or Smosh is, or Mr. Beast is, or Darman is, we work with Darman, then you're going to have to be able to reach audiences wherever they are, and it's about building fandom, not audiences. It's about building community and engagement, not reach.
How do you measure those things? There's got to be a more savvy measure than likes.
It isn't. That EQ is a mixture of comments, shares, likes. But we need to move to what I call the affinity economy, built around key passion indices. How quickly, what's the velocity of first view to buying a t-shirt? You can measure that shit. You can. BBC Studios does it all the time with Bluey. Absolutely. ITV does it all the time with Love Island. But I'll give you the best example I can give you, which is Angel Studios, who raised $55 million in 18 days from 40,000 people because they focus on community, hyper serving a very specific, overlooked community. They just had their highest open ever with David, and it is a faith-based, family-oriented audience. But they prove that. But there are tons of other ways. Mr. Beast's engagement quality is why he has the highest budget for a game show in television history. Not because a lot of that value goes to being on his channel and reaching his fans. Kylie Jenner is a billionaire because her reach is good, but her engagement is solid. Taylor Swift is a billionaire for the same exact reason. Look at what she does. She takes her IP and redoes her entire oeuvre, her entire thing, distributes it herself, finances the most successful tour in world history, then launches the most successful movie of a concert ever, and then just has a 6-part episode series on Disney right there. Those are all creator case studies. And note that they don't live on any one platform.
Right. No, she is a master of many things, including marketing and media.
But those are the models. If you ask me what I would build today, I look at that talent, and that's what I would emulate.
Let's pull up the map slide again, and you can see it here, Evan. Anything else you'd like to just point out? Any areas of significance or anything?
Yeah. So when you look at this, I think it's really crucial to understand that the big thesis of mine this year is that the creator economy and mainstream media meld into one screen that the consumer turns on. Who here has an iPhone or an Android phone? Raise your hand. Who here is that the first thing you touch in the morning? Who here is the last thing you touch at night?
Nope.
Sorry if you're significant others. But that piece of glass doesn't discriminate between creator economy and mainstream media. It is yes and, right? And when you look at the podcasts, which are over on your right, the New York Times is on there, Amazon is on there, iHeart is on there, and they're at the top. The #1 podcast on that list is from the New York Times. Fandom. And it's, by the way, it's called The Daily for a reason. It's on every fucking day. So if the New York Times, the old gray lady, can do it, any traditional media company or producer or studio or production house can do it as well. But you have to think about fandom on every single level. It's important that they're also pivoting now to video in a hard way, not in a way that from back in the day where it was pretend. I would also say look at Substack. So if anybody remembers 2024, it was pretty much decided by the brosphere podcasting world, right? Joe Rogan in particular, whose audience for that one episode with the now president was, I think, 5 times, 10 times what all the talk shows that Kamala went on and Saturday Night Live and everything else.
Right. That more authentic presentation that people, it just is what people, especially clearly younger voters, are responding to.
Yeah, and so if you look at that map, and you don't have to put it up again, but Substack is the area this year. There's $13 billion that's going to be pumped through the media economy for the midterm elections alone. That's a record.
You're talking about traditional advertising.
Advertising.
Mm-hmm. Across all platforms.
It's going to focus on social media. Zohran Mamdani is going to be the case study that everyone looks at. Right. And the efficiency of it, and the fandom of it, and the TikTok of it, those are going to be crucially important. That money is going to go to Substack in a huge way. Barry Weiss is now running CBS News. She sold her podcast, her Substack to them for $150 million. So that is a trend that will pick up steam this year. And when you look at former journalists now crushing it on Substack, Substack's going to be the podcast of 2026. What podcasting was to 2024, I believe Substack will be to 2026.
I think some of those folks would probably not think of themselves as former journalists, but still journalists.
Former mainstream journalists. Yeah. I apologize.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, former mainstream journalists who are now, they are replacing the newspaper. This is where the newspaper has gone.
And in terms of the relevance and influence, for sure.
100%.
But what does it mean for the larger us, let's just say the United States, when, there's not a Walter Cronkite, there's 200 Substacks that people go to along the spectrum of their political beliefs, their interests, their affinities. How does that fragmentation change us?
I don't see it that way. I see myself as building my own New York Times with a collection of Substacks and podcasts and short form video. The rest is politics and the news agents from the UK. The rest is politics here as well, the Daily here. I curate it for myself, which is exactly what the affinity economy is about. The question is, how do you monetize it? The answer is wonderful because it just only depends on the number of people who follow you. If it's a lot, it's one model. If it's very few, it's another model. Both fucking work. You don't need scale for scale's sake. Niche, going back to the IFC of it all, Portlandia was a very teeny show until it hit Netflix. Yeah. Now the same is going to be true here in the YouTube era. So just build an audience. Once you know how big that is, you'll be able to copycat it and build it. But secondarily, you'll also be able to monetize it in a way where you and your fans are in agreement. This is the value I provide. This is the value you provide me back.
I think it's so true, and I hope people were taking notes because you said a lot in a short time. I think going back to the Portlandia versus Onion News Network, what made Portlandia? People loved it. People loved it. There were characters that people loved. Onion News Network had some fun things, but it didn't have that overall thing that people could just latch onto. And that affinity, the things that people love, it's kind of the hardest thing to ferret out, but you know it when you see it, right? Well, the discussion of monetization is a perfect segue to the rest. That we're going to bring up some other panelists and talk a little bit more about that. So I'm going to move over one and then...
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. So, yeah, we're going to take a beat and they're going to come on board, right?
We're going to take a beat and they're going to come on right now. So I'm just going to move over, but thank you for that,
Thank
Evan.
you very
That's
much.
A very high-level discussion.
I'll be around after if you want to ask any
Okay.
questions.
All right.